Hi guys, so this is a Halloween card process, and this here you can see I am going to be die cutting, and that was the Tim Holtz Twigs die and the DCWV Pumpkin Patch stack is a 6x6 stack. I got that last year at I think Joann's. And I split this up pretty quickly because it's just die cutting through my Cuttlebug. And I actually forgot for a second how to use those thicker dies because I haven't used them in such a long time. But you use the two B plates to put them through because they are thicker. So I cut out 3 of those because I was expecting to use 3, but I didn't end up using them. So I just put away the other 2. Here I am inking up those twigs with my walnut stain distressing just to make it a little bit darker and so it won't look so plain. And see, I inked up the other ones because again I was expecting to use those, but it just didn't work out and I only used one of them. And you can see it there, it gives a little bit more interest. And I put those off to the side. I inked all 3 of them. Here's a little paper. It came just like that with the moon and the witch on it. And I fussy cut the moon and the witch out. And that's from the October Afternoon Witch Hazel 8x8 paper pad. And again, I just fussy cut that moon and witch out because I wanted it popped up. And I should have done that after heat embossing because now I'm going to heat emboss these stars. But I didn't know I was going to heat emboss, so yeah, I had already cut it out. So now I'm just stamping out those stars. That's from the Lawn Fawn Lucky Stars stamp set. And I'm just stamping a few in random places. I wanted to do it close to the moon so you can see it better. And I'm using some Zing white embossing powder. And I find this is the best way to get some white stars on the paper just to emboss it because I can never find a really good white ink that stands out a lot. So I just use the embossing powder, and under it I have that just a piece of copy paper folded in half so I can funnel it back into the container of embossing powder, and that way that embossing powder lasts me a long time. I've had that for probably 2 or 3 years already, so yeah, it's lasted me a long time because I just funnel the rest of it back in there. And a little bit got on my table, so I wiped it off with a baby wipe. And now I'm just going to heat emboss it. So I already had my embossing gun or heat gun. I already had it connected, and now I was just heating it up. And again, this would have been easier if I would have left the paper as is and not have fussy cut out that moon. I should have done that afterwards, but yeah, I wasn't sure that I was going to do it. So it was a little bit harder doing it this way, but I got it all embossed, so it worked out fine. And there you can see little stars all heat embossed on there. And let's see. Now I decided I wanted to add some diamond dust around where the moon is going to be. I haven't used my diamond dust in a long time. I've had the container of diamond dust probably for like 2 years or something, and I very rarely use it. I just always forget to. And I thought it would look cool here around the moon. And I wasn't sure of a better way to adhere it on there, so I just got my ATG gun and went around the moon. Here I made a little mistake and I went around the witch's broom, where the witch's broom is going to be, and that wouldn't be really glittery, so I took that off. And I'm just looking and seeing where it needs a little bit more adhesive, so there would be diamond dust all around the moon. And it got a little bit stuck to the paper, and I got a little bit of adhesive on that paper, so I end up flipping it over just to make sure that I don't get diamond dust all over that copy paper. So see, I flipped it over and I fold it again so I can funnel back all that diamond dust that I get on there. So there it is. It's the Twinklets diamond dust, and I just poured it on there. I didn't really care that I was getting a lot out of that jar. As you can see, I got a ton of it out of there, but it didn't really matter because I was going to funnel it back into the container, so it wasn't that big of a deal. But yeah, that was a lot of diamond dust. Luckily, it didn't get anywhere because I just folded the paper in half and I poured it back into the container. So again, this is something else that'll last me a long time. So there's that. I'm just closing it back up. And let's see. Now I'm just adhering the front to the card base, and I added my adhesive onto the card base. Since I had the diamond dust and all that, it was going to be harder to add the adhesive to that, so I just added the adhesive straight onto the card base. Now I cut off some of the excess, and I didn't like the way that came out. That's why later on I end up cutting it even more. But right now what I'm doing is inking around the edges with my Memento Grape Jelly ink. And I really like that ink. I didn't want to do black because it would look too dark. I didn't want it that dark. So I just got this, and this is a purple ink, and I thought it looked pretty cool with the rest of the little scene. You can see that little white section right there. That was bothering me. So you'll see in a second that I tried to cut it off, but it just was not coming off, and it was not getting inked up either. And here I'm just adding more ink. I wanted to have a lot of ink around the edges. So there, you see I cut that piece entirely off. So the card is about 5.5 by 5.25. And I'm inking around all the edges. And now here's the witch and the moon. I wanted to pop her up. That's why I cut her out of that sheet. So I'm getting my foam adhesive and adding it to the back of the moon. And that adhesive is just from Big Lots, and I like it because I can tear it with my finger and get as much as I need. Now I'm inking around the edges of the moon so it'll stand out a little bit more, and that is a Martha Stewart chalk ink. And there, I just adhere that on there. Now I'm getting that twigs die that I cut out at the beginning of the video, and I ran it through my Xyron adhesive, and I did that off camera just because I had to get the gunk out of all the corners, and that was kind of tedious, so I just did that off camera. And there I cut off the excess and just adhered it on there. And now I'm inking around the bottom so it'll match with the rest of the card. And again, that's the same Memento Grape Jelly ink. Now this is a little Martha Stewart's sticker pack, and it's just some glittery bats, and I guess I didn't end up using those yet. I looked through this little pack of stickers from American Crafts, and this just has different sentiments, and I was flipping through it. I wasn't sure what I wanted to use. I took out that Happy Halloween banner, but as you can see, I did not use it. I didn't want to cover up those twigs, so I'll end up using those sentiments later on. But there I took out those bats again, and I am adding a few around the front of the card because there is 2 of them already in the card, so I wanted it to look more together and everything could flow better. So I'm just adding the smaller ones because the big ones were just too big. So there I added all those bats. Then I'm adding a little bit of yellow stickles, because I still thought it was a little plain, and I tend to go overboard with the stickles, so I tried not to, but it was hard. So there, I just added those little dots on there, and now I'm going to finish the inside. And that paper that you see there is from the Pebbles Trick or Treat, or Tricks and Treats, something like that. And then here's just a piece of white cardstock from my stash, and I'm inking around the edges of that, also with my Memento Grape Jelly ink. And now I'm going to adhere it onto the card base. And there it is. And now I wanted to use that sentiment. I had already flipped through it, and I liked that one. I thought it matched really well. And it just says, "Best Witches to You." And I added 2 witches hats and some bats at the top, and I used the bigger ones because I rarely am going to use those big ones. And that finished off the inside. I kept it pretty simple. Here is the front of the card again. I really like the way that diamond dust looks around the moon. and then the twigs on the bottom and all that. So there is my card, and there's the dimension of the moon, and thanks for watching. Bye!